And a bright good day to everybody out there. How's everything going out there? Everybody I'm going to be talking to today is, for one thing, this is going to be going out to different people. This is going to be going to senators and lawmakers. Especially, here's what I got the Instagram, the @. Senator Gardner, Cory Gardner of Colorado. Senator Shaheen of Republican from New Hampshire. And House Minority Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Also, Tom Cole, OK4, Representative Mullen, Representative Jay Bridenstine, Representative Russell, and Representative Frank Lucas. I think those last four are all Oklahoma. A friend of mine has got State Question 788 on coming up for Oklahoma soon, and she wants to target these representatives, and I want to target the senators that are at the base of this fighting Jeff Sessions on the legalization of marijuana. And sorry, I'm not being sexy with an off the shoulder. I suffer from chronic and extreme intractable pain every day, 24/7, 365, 366 on leap years. And what I do is I've got this muscle right here, just this one muscle right here, from the base of my skull down the back, is in a total cramp. It's been in a state of total cramp for 10 years, people. 10 years. How do I put up with it? I have no choice. I have morphine, I have my opiates, morphine, Seroquel, amitriptyline, Valium. Then I'm a marijuana smoker. I am a medical marijuana patient, legal smoker in Arizona. I am now on my fifth year of medical marijuana, and I've been studying it intensely for the past 4 years, and I have 2 medical marijuana groups on Facebook, as well as my pain blog, a video log, a pain group, poetry group, patriot group. I got a group for everything. And I am all about the legalization for cannabis. And I want to help Senators Gardner, Shaheen, Nancy Pelosi, and all the Oklahoma senators, representatives. I got one thing to do, and I'll be right back, and then we're going to get down to the meat of this. I want to explain myself first, because this is going to people that haven't met me yet, so I have to go through and explain a few things, but I have to drop something really quick. Be right back. Okay, so to continue, like I said, I need to introduce myself to people. My name is Rick Huffman, medical marijuana patient, opiate patient. And I'm here to tell you the scoop, the truth, the facts. These are the truths and facts that need to be known and need to be shoved down Jeff Sessions' throat, because he's a Harry Anslinger all over again. 81 years this year. This is 81 years since the first prohibition on marijuana. 1970 with the Controlled Substances Act. And there's 1970, 48 years right there of continued prohibition, with a total of 81 years for marijuana being prohibited. And hemp. We'll get to hemp too. I'll try to. But I'm a chronic pain patient. I have 6 different chronic pain conditions. Yes, 6. Fibromyalgia, osteoarthritis, degenerative disc disease, chronic pain syndrome, chronic regional pain simplex, chronic spondylosis, spinal cord stenosis, and osteoarthritis, and PTSD is the cherry on top of the sundae I have to eat daily. It's a shit sandwich, and I always have to take a bite. So what I'm doing, I'm always putting this ant venom, and I have a cannabis salve, or a cannabis tincture that I made with alcohol. I have to put this stuff on constantly throughout the day, because I can't sleep with this, but it's in a total cramp, 24/7. It has never stopped. It has never relented. And just in the past week, it's been this little spot like that big. It's just, it feels like I'm being stabbed with knives. Literally, people, it's hard for some people to understand chronic pain. I wake up, if you look at the 10 scale, 10 as major pain, you're ready to die. You're ready to ask for a coma. I wake up as a 7 to 9 every day of my life. Every day. A 7 to 9. Morphine drops me 1, 2, sometimes 3 numbers, depending on how bad everything's cramped up. And so I have to take morphine along with cannabis. And I'm here to tell you that they are a wonderful combination. I'm not saying that morphine is wonderful, but as a pain reliever, morphine works for me. As an extra pain reliever, I have cannabis, and it does a lot more than pain relief. Muscle relaxation, it strengthens your blood vessels, it controls your blood sugars, it cleans your liver. I've been on morphine, I've been on opiates almost 8, 9 years now, starting with hydrocodone, the stuff you usually get for toothaches. We started there. We started with tramadol. Nothing. Baby aspirin. No over-the-counters worked. Ibuprofen, Aleve, Naproxen, all that stuff. Didn't work. Never has. I've never been able to cure a headache with an aspirin, or Tylenol, or ibuprofen, or Aleve. They don't work on me. And now I have these chronic pain syndromes that keep me in this continual state of cramp and pain. I had to quit work because one day of work took 3 to 4 days for me to recover. Even sleeping in a bed. If I sleep in a bed, I roll around. And when I roll around, I wake up in the morning, my neck's out of joint, my lower back's out of joint, and I can't move. So I have to actually sleep in one position on my right side. Every night I go to sleep, I'm on my right side like this. That's it. I cannot sleep anywhere else. Because if I roll around, I end up not being able to get up out of bed in the morning. So I've got this huge pillow bed that sits on the floor in the bedroom that I can get in, and it holds me steady. Keeps me from rolling around. And chronic pain, it is helped by cannabis. And opiates go together with cannabis. That's the only way I can put it. You know, I'm not saying they go together for everybody, but for me, when I was on OxyContin and psych meds, before cannabis and morphine, Oxy and psych meds screwed me up. I had a gorilla on my back. And I was a totally different personality. I was not what you would see today. In fact, I was off Facebook for a couple years because of all my pains building up, and we were still trying to find a dose that would get my pain levels down. And I'm finally down to where I can get to a 3, 4. I can't go below that. I can't get any farther. And when I take my morphines, I don't feel it. I will feel a relenting in my pain. That's it. My pain relents a little bit. It backs off. And the pot helps. That's it. I never hit 0. If I can't hit the 0 plane of pain, and where I'm pain-free, that's the only time I feel euphoria, is when I'm pain-free. But the thing is I'm not. And I haven't been pain-free in 10 or more years. It was about 12 years ago, my sciatica really started acting up in the lower back. And I kept working in restaurants, fast-paced moving, and it just ruined me. To the point where I can't even play drums anymore. The love of my life was drums. I love drums. Can't play anymore because my rotators are shot. My joints, everything, from the fibromyalgia and the arthritis. And it's just hard to explain to people sometimes how bad pain can be. Imagine a toothache everywhere in your body, all at once. Every nerve ending is on fire. Every nerve ending, billions of nerve endings in our body, all on fire. It's like people are jabbing you with white hot needles everywhere. You ever seen those Iron Maidens they used to use for torture? It's a big box that looks shaped like a human. And they put people in there and there's spikes. And then when they close it, all these spikes stick you in the front and back. That's the only way I can explain it, is I feel like I'm in an Iron Maiden with millions of needles being shoved into my body from all different directions. So, I don't know if that gives anybody an indication, but here's something else you can try. Slam your hand in a car door. And then go slam the other hand in. And then put your head in there for a couple beats. Then slam your knees in there. Slam your feet in the car door. Go to your trunk and go wham! That's what I feel. Hard to comprehend, isn't it? Just imagine that pain every single day when you wake up. And one of the only things that gives you relief, the two things that give me relief is opiates and cannabis. And that makes me enemy of the state, according to Jeff Sessions. Well, I gotta tell you guys out there, there's no real opioid epidemic. The epidemic is somebody's getting a hold of opioids and selling them. And some bad doctors are over-prescribing. But I gotta tell you, my doctor doesn't do that. If he was gonna put me on opiates, I would have been on them for 10 years. Okay, this would be my 10th anniversary on morphine. But it's not. It's only my 5th. I'm working on my 5th year. It's my 4th and 5th year I'm working on. Where I got morphine and pot at the same time. And where I was on psych meds and OxyContin. Monkey, big ape on my back. I had a blackout. Hydrocephaly. Boom. Driving to my doctor to get morphine. To get off the OxyContin and psych meds. And boom. I blacked out at the wheel. I had water on the brain from all the psych meds I was taking. I don't drive anymore. I can't. I turned my license in. Why? Because I can't. I trust myself driving, but I never know when an attack is going to hit. And if it hits while I'm driving, and I don't get off the side of the road too quick, I can hurt people, and I don't want to do that. So I turned my license in. Now I'm homebound at the end of a dead-end road, which I'm happy with. I don't like neighbors that can look in your windows and stuff. You can't even see our house from the road. But the main thing I want to get across is not only about the pain, and to say that the opioid epidemic the politicians and lawmakers have to approach the opioid epidemic carefully, because you can endanger millions of people who are counting on those opiates every day. But if you lump everybody into one epidemic that isn't really an epidemic, and you start cutting people off from their painkillers, you're going to have people will kill themselves. People kill themselves because of intense pain. Okay? It makes people want to just check out. And I can understand it on some people. I'm not one of those people. I'm never going to check out. I just live with the pain. But there are as many people that can't. And cannabis is a wonderful adjunct to opiates therapy. because it attenuates the symptoms of any addiction. This will help people quit smoking cigarettes. This will help keep people get off of heroin, morphine, OxyContin, fentanyl. This works like a diazepam, an opiate, a cold reliever, a blood strengthener, liver cleanser, gallbladder cleansing, blood cleansing, blood sugar lowering, weight loss, or weight gain, whichever you need. You can go either way with this. And this is all with a plant. A simple plant substance that has been around for before we were. Because it was in the food chain. Millions and millions of years. Hemp and cannabis has been in the food chain, and wild animals grazed on it. And when when hemp and everything in the Americas started up, it was in our food chain. We had wild growing hemp, and people grew hemp on their farms, and it was in the food. It was in the meat. It was in the milk. And people cooked with it. You grind up hemp seeds and you make flour to cook with. So you're getting hemp and cannabinoids and CBD in your food chain. And in 1937, that all went away. Harry Anslinger made sure that we had no more hemp, no more cannabis. And it was all done out of hatred, racism, bigotry, and ignorance. So, I'm here to try to bring people out of the ignorance. And I say cannabis, free marijuana from the prison of ignorance. Because that's where it is people think an illicit drug and they don't look into it any further. They listen to the government. If we listen to the government, every little thing in our lives, we would be beyond 1984, okay, and the controlling of Big Brother. And it's already too close to that. Because as we try to legalize cannabis, the pharmaceutical industry is using recombinant DNA from plants and animals to make these new biologics like Invokana, Invocamet, Humira. And these things don't belong in our bodies. Every biologic I took, I puked blood. First night, first dose. Boom, stabbed in the guts. I had to get up and puke. I puked coffee grounds, blood. That's what those biologics do. They don't belong in our system. And they tell us to ask our doctor for these things on the TV. They're preying on the hypochondriac population. Because if your doctor knows what you have. You don't go to your doctor and say, I need Invokana. They told me on TV. Yes, the hypochondriac population goes running to their doctor for these things. That's the only reason these things are on TV, and the only reason they're in the ads, in a 3-page ad in a magazine. 3 pages, sometimes 5 or 6 pages on this drug, all this tiny printing and everything. And they're pushing and pushing and pushing for us to have this freaking drug that the first thing they say is, you need to be checked for tuberculosis before you start this. There's the danger of tuberculosis after starting it. The diabetic drugs. One of the main side effects is diabetic coma and death. If you're taking insulin, smoke weed. Together, that will help your blood sugar go down. It'll keep it under better control. And you might even use less insulin. That's what cannabis can do. Now, speaking to all the senators, representatives, here's the way I look at it. I don't know why it hasn't been done yet. But the Bill of Rights is a wall that Jeff Sessions and the Department of Justice and the DEA cannot breach. They are limited by law. 10th Amendment, folks. The 10th Amendment to our Constitution. Any powers not relegated to the federal government in the Constitution devolves to the state level for the state legislatures to make and change laws as they see fit for their state, commonwealth, or whatever. That's it. If Jeff Sessions does one thing, if he has the DEA arrest one person for cannabis in a legal state, when that person is legal, he is in breach of the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. In fact, where marijuana comes from, I've looked into them, and I see the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth, the Ninth, and the 10th. They all apply when it comes to marijuana. I'll get to that. But the 10th allows for all states to initiate their medical marijuana programs, or recreational. And there's a rumor out talking about not letting anybody who smokes pot have a gun. It's not loaded. Let's see if there's a little silver thing that sticks out there. There's no bullets in here. It's in the bag, yes. But where's my magazine stuck? There we go. They're talking about taking guns away from legal marijuana smokers. Empty. To take these away from a legal marijuana smoker is saying that, okay, if you smoke marijuana, you can't have a gun. Alcohol. Alcohol changes a person. Marijuana doesn't. Marijuana actually intensifies your personality. It makes things funny. But nobody grabs a gun and shoots somebody at a party. That's not done. That's reefer madness, and that was propaganda. See, lies and bullshit propaganda, misdirection, smoke and mirrors. And it was all based on hatred and racism. Okay, they blame. Terry Anslinger literally said jazz musicians, low-life Mexicans, and African Americans are responsible for pot. No. Ever since pot, more white people smoked pot. And then as we brought the slaves over here, now they're in, the African American population. Now they're smoking pot. Whites and blacks smoke marijuana at almost the same exact rate. Yet, an African American is 4 times more likely to be arrested than a white person for pot, and 8 times more likely in some other states. But the minimum is 4. That's not right. So, I'm talking about, like I said, the 10th Amendment, the Second Amendment should be with marijuana too. If you're going to deny a gun ownership to a person who smokes pot, you should deny it to anybody who buys a beer. Because alcohol makes people different. Pot just intensifies what you already are. And it helps you open up. And it kills pain and it relieves stress. And it does not create a euphoria to where you're in Never Never Land. Okay? That does not happen. Morphine, alcohol, those do it. Pot doesn't. Much as Jeff Sessions would like to deny it, the facts are the facts. And I say, if anyone with the DEA or Justice Department tries to anything like an arrest, an investigation, even a stop and frisk outside of a dispensary, they're immediately in violation of federal law. Is that not right? Our representatives and senators, tell me, is that right? I think it's right. The 10th Amendment. If Jeff Sessions does anything to a legal marijuana smoker in their state, he's in violation of the Constitution. And he should be fired immediately. He shouldn't even be he should not even be in that position, because he is shown to have no knowledge of what he's talking about. He uses flawed data from years ago and makes it sound like it was yesterday. Everything he says about pot, people are knocking it down. And this guy's still in his seat of power. I've got something here. This was from 2016, November. And it's from High Times. And it's the top 10 reasons to vote yes on marijuana legalization. And I'm just going to read this right off to you, because this is where the rubber meets the road, folks. Are you one of the almost 57 million Americans living in a state that's voting on marijuana legalization? Your vote may help end the criminality of marijuana for over 1 out of 6 Americans, bringing the total to almost 1 out of 4 Americans who will live in a legal state. So here's the 10 best reasons to help convince your friends and family to do the right thing and vote yes on legalization. Legalized marijuana is safer than alcohol and tobacco. How did we end up in a society where the 2 most damaging drugs, alcohol and tobacco, are the 2 legal ones? There are over 500,000 deaths annually from these 2 substances. They also lead to countless illnesses and injuries that affect society in healthcare costs, lost productivity, and law enforcement expenses. Marijuana is non-toxic and has never caused a fatal overdose in over 7,000 years of recorded human use. 7,000 years, and they found hemp over 10,000 years old. It was always used industrially. Its greatest harm is the arrest, incarceration, and lifelong hurdles created by prohibition. Opponents are worried about putting a 3rd legal drug on the menu, as if marijuana isn't already the 3rd most popular drug used in America. It's already on the menu. You just have to commit a crime to get it. Number 2, marijuana prohibition is a costly failure. It said this was next year's the 80th anniversary. It's now 81 years of the first nationwide attempt to suppress pot smoking. Back then, maybe a few 100,000 people nationwide were smoking reefers. Today, it is more likely than not that someone under age 50 has tried pot, and there are over 30 million Americans consuming cannabis on a regular basis, whether it is on the menu or not. That's 10% of the population of the United States, 30 million people. And 80%, 70 to 80% of Americans are in favor of legalization. 80%. Now, if 10% are smoking weed and 80% support it, think. Okay? There's a small community, and it's getting ever smaller, of anti-pot idiots. I have to call them idiots. You're ignorant. Weediots. Weed ignorant. So, the costs of this counterproductive prohibition are staggering. Since Nixon declared a war on drugs, over 25 million Americans have been arrested for marijuana violations, costing us over $1 trillion. to prosecute. But in the 4 states at that time that have legalized, marijuana arrests plummeted, crime has decreased, and youth use hasn't budged. Now, marijuana prohibition funds gangs, cartels, and terrorists. The drug trade has long been a source of income for organized crime. But now that 4 states and more have legalized marijuana, the domestic product is beating imported Mexican marijuana in both price and quality. Mexican farmers growing for the vicious, violent cartels have seen their returns drop from $100 per kilo to under $25 per kilo. Over 75% of the illegal drug trade, right there. Legalization isn't going to put the cartels out of business. They are criminals who will turn to other crimes for their funding. They'll go on date rape drugs, they'll try fentanyl, they'll try opiates. They'll try anything. They'll try to push cocaine more. They'll try to push their heroin more. That's what the Justice Department needs to spend its time and effort and money. Do not interdict legitimate Americans. I mean, I'm sitting here with my 10-inch pipe, my salve, my vapes, my tincture, THC. A quarter dropper under my tongue puts me right to sleep. And edibles. I've got candies. Lemon drops, cherry drops, 10 milligrams of THC each. They work. So anyway, legalization is not going to put the cartels, the criminals who are, but we can take them from the market, their most widely used drug, and shrink their customer base substantially. So, the Justice Department should spend its time on the illegal imports and the illegal growers in the states that haven't legalized. Now, marijuana prohibition hurts youth and minorities the most. Prohibition hurts them, not legalization. The prohibition hurts youth and minorities most. America is coming to grips with institutional racism in our criminal justice system. Marijuana prohibition has been a prime factor in fueling that racism. African Americans are 4 times more likely than whites to be arrested, even though they use and sell at about the same rates. That's what I told you before. Marijuana prohibition sets up an incentive for police to make easy arrests and reap forfeiture and drug grant dollars. This, in turn, leads police to concentrate on minority neighborhoods where pot smokers are more easily caught and have fewer resources to fight the charges. This contributes to the cycle of distrust between minority communities and the police. Legalization won't fix bad racist cops, but it will provide them far less opportunity to act on their racism. Legalized marijuana protects kids better than prohibition does. When you prohibit something from the youth, they have to do it. I was told I can't smoke dope, drink beer, or smoke cigarettes when I was 8 years old. And guess what? I did it all. I started smoking weed and cigarettes at 8 years old. And I was drinking at 9 and 10. And I tripped at the age of 10. And used cocaine by 11. Before I went in the Army at the age of 18, I had been through the gamut of drugs. Everything except opiates. And I made it through. The Army took me. I'm fine. My brain's fine. I have an IQ of 167. It's gone up every year. As I smoke weed, it goes up and up and up. So anyway, legalized marijuana protects kids better than prohibition does. For the past 40 years, the Monitoring the Future survey has asked high school seniors how easy it would be for them to get a bag of pot. For 40 years, the answer has consistently been between 80 to 91% claiming easy access, or fairly easy, because weed dealers don't check ID, And they don't lose a license if they're caught selling it to a kid. They go to jail, but they can get out and do it again. Nothing is ever going to stop a determined kid from finding a joint, any more than kids today aren't completely stopped from accessing alcohol and tobacco. But with those drugs, somewhere along the line, a corrupt adult had to be involved. Now, kids sell weed to other kids. Legalization moves weed sales into secure, adult-only stores, and it reduces the profit potential for illegal sales. And it says here, when's the last time you saw a high school tequila dealer? Right. It says last year, that'd be 2015, with 4 legalized states, it's the first year ever that easy access to weed for 12th graders dropped below the 80% mark. Legalized marijuana is a safe, therapeutic supplement. While half the states have initiated protections for medical use of marijuana, that doesn't legalize the use by patients. Even in California, where nearly anybody can get a medical marijuana recommendation and possession of less than an ounce is just $100 ticket. There are still over 2,000 people a year who go to jail for marijuana alone, serving an average of over 5 months in a cage. For a simple, safe plant substance that just happens to get you high. It does so much more. And the THC is important. THC helps strip the amyloid plaque off the brain cells of Alzheimer's patients. THC and CBD together have been found to reverse, halt, and sometimes reverse Alzheimer's. And the patient regains their memories. Okay? They've got this pill Namzuric. I would not trust that pill for my parents if they were losing it. I would get them pot. So, anyway, about 2,000 people going to jail. That's because doctor's visits and medical cards cost money. It's costing upwards of $400 in some states to qualify and register for a medical marijuana card. Why should a disabled person in poverty or a sick person suffering a condition not covered by law be treated as a criminal for using an herb safer than over-the-counter aspirin or cough syrup? Dextromethorphan can be a poison. It's in Theraflu. It's in NyQuil. Okay? Even diphenhydramine and pseudoephedrine are dangerous. There is a fatal dose rate for those. There is no fatal dose rate for pot, except anecdotally smoke a 1,500-pound joint in 15 minutes. I can't get a quarter-inch down a joint before I'm sitting back going, okay, I can relax now. Okay, now imagine a joint the size of a telephone pole. That is the only way you can overdose on pot. You can't eat too much. Your brain shuts itself off. The THC center in the brain is smart. The endocannabinoid system in humans is smart. The endocannabinoid system of the CB1 and THC receptors in our head takes in the THC and CBD and does its work in our brains. CBD, CBN, CBG, all the other cannabinoids go throughout the body, and your body grabs what it needs. As these cannabinoids are in your system, your body recognizes them as substances that will fix what's wrong. Whatever may be wrong, the cannabinoids will fix it, and your body knows it. It's the human endocannabinoid system. And the CB2 receptors are all over our immune system. Why? Why would anything like that? Why would a hazardous drug affect our immune system in a positive way? Because it's not hazardous. Here's number 7. Legalized marijuana replaces toxic, addictive pharmaceuticals. So it says here, America is suffering from an opioid overdose epidemic. Legal pharmaceutical drugs kill more people annually than all illegal drugs combined. And marijuana has no deaths. Ever. Marijuana is an herb that one can grow at little cost and use to replace over 17 popular pharmaceutical medications. Legalizing marijuana will literally save the lives of countless patients. Chemotherapy kills 70% of cancer patients. Kills 70%. Cancer patients who used cannabis, 70% cured. Tell me what's right, what's wrong. The pharmaceutical industry with their chemicals, their chemotherapy, their radiation, that shit poisons your body and it never leaves. Because our bodies don't have radiation and chemo receptors. We don't. We have cannabinoid receptors. And they cure cancers, wherever the cancer may be. Because that's where cannabis goes, throughout the entire body. And like I said, the immune system. The pharmaceutical industry knows this. That's why Big Pharma has been funding anti-pot campaigns. And it says in this election, one of them, Insys, INSYS Pharmaceuticals, donated $500,000 to defeat legalization in Arizona. They are a maker of fentanyl, the opioid painkiller that took Prince's life and is 100 times more powerful than heroin, and are seeking patients on synthetic cannabinoid drugs they're researching. That's it. They want to they've already patented it. Patent number 6630507. The government, with marijuana as a Schedule I narcotic as having no medicinal value and a high degree of abuse, the pharmaceutical industry took and patented it as having medical. What? Think. Okay? This is like it's like trying to do a seesaw sitting on a block instead of a pivot point. It's ignorant. Legalized marijuana opens the possibilities of industrial hemp. And it says right here, the demonization of marijuana is so entrenched in America that we even ban the non-psychoactive variety known as industrial hemp, which, by the way, gives us CBD. Industrial hemp is CBD rich. It is great for everybody and everything. Any vertebrate has an endocannabinoid system and can benefit from the cannabinoids. CBD is a cure-all. It cures many, many things. But because it looks like pot, they're banning it. It's like banning powdered sugar because it looks like cocaine. While many states have passed laws allowing for industrial hemp cultivation and the federal government has passed laws allowing that to happen, these are all workarounds for a crop that our founding fathers grew freely and copiously. Marijuana legalization will help open up the use of hemp from food to fuel, fiber to medicine, building materials to revolutionary energy technologies, and more. Legalized marijuana raises millions in new tax revenue. Legalization doesn't invent marijuana. It just recognizes that it is a popular commodity that should be taxed and regulated like all other commodities. Cigarettes and alcohol. The market for marijuana is never going to go away. We can only determine who controls most of it. Tax-paying, job-creating, law-abiding businesses or murderous, police-corrupting criminal cartels. Prohibition does not control marijuana. Prohibition is the absence of control. States under prohibition gain nothing from it and spend money, time, and resources enforcing it. The 4 states that have legalized already have reaped over $200 million in combined tax revenue while saving money in the police departments, courts, prisons, parole and probation officers, and other agencies that are burdened by pot prosecutions. Number 10. Legalized marijuana works. It's not 2009 anymore. Legalization of marijuana isn't some hypothetical policy proposal. We've already done it in the 4 states. We've had some additional difficulties concerning kids and edibles, but those that have been addressed through education, labeling, and packaging changes that the newly legalizing states will adopt as well. Meanwhile, the older folks that legalization was intended for have increased their use substantially. But despite putting legal marijuana on the menu, the roads are safer than ever. Overall driving fatalities are down. Workplace productivity is up. Problematic dependence on marijuana is unchanged because you can't become dependent on it. Anecdotally, 9% of cannabis users can become addicted. But you know what? Pot is only as addictive as in anything pleasurable is worth repeating. Sex, chocolate, food, athleticism, runner's high. And it says millions of dollars in tax revenue rolling in. In Colorado alone, legalization has created over 18,000 jobs and contributed over $2.5 billion to the state economy. Don't tell me pot is bad. Let's see what else kind of things I have here. I did want to go over this though. But like I said, if anyone in the DOJ, DEA tries to arrest, they are in violation of federal law because the 10th Amendment to the Constitution allows the states to make their own laws. So if the federal government goes into a state that's legalized medical marijuana and they do anything negative to anybody, if they were to come into my house right now, I'd be live on Facebook talking about it, and I'd be invoking the 10th Amendment, and they're breaking it. If they come here to arrest me for doing this, for smoking, I haven't even smoked pot on the air. I don't have to right now. I've took my pills. I had to take some extra pills to get through this video because I've been in a 2-month-long flare where it feels like I have the flu, a cold, and I've been put inside a porta potty and sent down Niagara Falls. That's what it feels like. Okay? People gotta realize pain. This is a painkiller. This works like an opiate, an SSRI, an NSAID, and it's all safe. It's all safe, people. I don't understand this. Hemp gives us more food, fuel, fiber, concrete, soaps, lotions, paper, shampoo, paint, shellacs, varnishes. 2 types of biodiesel that is safe enough for you to taste. It's safer than table salt. A hemp biodiesel, an oil spill. Oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico killed uncountable wildlife. Uncountable numbers of wildlife dead. Beaches that still can't be swum in for since what? How long has it been? A long time. It's been a long time. And you still can't swim on some beaches because there's oil rolling ashore. Major disaster. Like the Exxon Valdez. Major disaster. Do you know what you call a hemp biodiesel spill? Fertilizer. Yes. Hemp fertilizes itself. You don't need any other fertilizers. You need water, light, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, dirt, and time. That's it. Cannabinoids. Cannabinoids are simple hydrocarbons, people. You don't have to have a medical degree. You don't have to have a chemist degree to realize, to know that hydrocarbons are the basic building blocks of our DNA. Hydrocarbons build amino acids that holds our DNA into that little double helix and makes us all what we are. Hydrocarbons, the basic building blocks of life. That's all that's in there. And these hydrocarbons do wonderful things for the body. It's not all about getting stoned. Like I told you, my pain levels are such that I never feel the euphoria. Even pot does not get me high. It helps me get through my pain. And like I said, this pain's bad. I don't know if you can see the difference in this, but you see that this thing's sitting up higher? It's kind of swollen. I tell you, it's painful. It's non-stop. And I wake up in the middle of the night and I grab this and I rub it on like this while I'm sleeping. Because this thing wakes me up. It's super painful. It's a killer. I think I've gone over enough for now. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions said, good people don't smoke marijuana. You're saying that there's 30 million bad Americans. He's putting down 30 million people as being bad people. I like to think of myself as a good person. I have my cannabis. I'm legal. I have my card. Ta-da! I got my green card. It used to be green, now it's white. I thought it should have stayed green. I mean, it's green. Green to green. But, let me like I said, cannabinoids, building blocks of DNA and life. Alcohol is a dangerous man-made poison. Available at every corner grocery store. Think back. Jeff Sessions says it will be a sorry day when cannabis can be bought at every corner grocery store. Cannabis does not kill anybody. Cannabis doesn't include domestic violence, highway deaths, murders, suicides. No, people smoke weed, they feel good. And they get healthy if they're sick. Right now, at every corner grocery store in this country, alcohol and tobacco are on the shelf. And as a kid, give this guy a 20 and say, but we used to $20 for a six-pack. You know, we'd pay a hobo or something to go get us a six-pack of beer. And then, back in the day, cigarettes used to be up here at the counter. Gum was behind the counter. So in New York, jacket for being cold, lots of innards pockets. I'd say, I want some juicy fruit. Grabbing cigarettes off the shelf. That's right here. The cigarettes used to be out front where you could grab what you wanted. And we used to steal. Alcohol, cigarettes. I got started at 8 years old. If I had only known, I would help stop my smoking and stop drinking and just smoked pot. But I didn't. Because I'm a 10th generation alcoholic on both sides of my family. So, I can drink. Well, I can't drink now. I don't drink. But I have lost nights where I go drinking. And I woke up the next morning going, what the hell happened? In the Army, we used to take pictures of each other. Okay? You don't believe what you did last night. No, I couldn't have done that. And they go, here's the picture. Alcohol makes you to where you don't know where you are. Pot just makes you feel good. And 5 years ago, I didn't even realize the medical potential of cannabis. I did not. I just knew it made me feel good. But since I got it as a medical from my doctor, he said, let's give you morphine and pot, and let's see if we can ease off the morphine. Well, it turns out that my pain levels is still too high. I have actually added one extra morphine, but it took 3 years. I was 3 years at the same dose of morphine. And then I asked the doctor for another 30 milligram immediate release daily. And he gave it to me. And I promised 3 to 4 years before I asked for another increase. Because my pains are always up here. In the past 2 months, I've been here. This is my pain level, right here. Never hitting the halfway mark. I'm 5+ every day of my life. And it hurts. And it builds up. And fortunately for me, I braid these. I make braided keychains. I color with gel pens. And I research cannabis. Because I want everybody should have access to this. And even children with epilepsy, CBD, even the hemp oil that you can buy legally through the mail in all 50 states right now, kills epileptic seizures, stops them. And a daily dosing of CBD, you see less frequent epileptic attacks. It prevents many attacks from happening. Now, how can you say that is bad if it saves children pain and suffering and their parents? The parents who have to hold their child after they come out of a grand mal attack and they're in so much pain from their body being locked up. Think about it. If you're a parent, think about it. If your child had epilepsy, and if they gave you something that said this could still lead to an epileptic coma and death, and then somebody else said try cannabis, what would you go for? Something that is possibly going to kill your child, or something that is almost guaranteed 100% to help your child and to save your child pain and suffering? Think about it. So, Senators Gardner and Shaheen, Nancy Pelosi, Tom Cole, Mullen, Bridenstine, Russell, Lucas. You guys in Oklahoma. I hope you guys pass it. You know, it's only a question on the ballot now. I'm not sure if it goes into law. But the majority of Oklahomans need to see this also. And vote yes on State Question 788. And in any other states that this happens to get to, vote yes for legalization. Because I'm telling you, it can save lives. It can prevent people from checking out early. Okay? Because they can't stand the pain. And they can't get opiates because the opioid epidemic scares doctors into prescribing it. It scares the doctors from prescribing it. Because they don't want the DEA to come down on them and saying, oh, you're handing out a lot of morphine. No. if your doctor is overprescribing, and if you check these people out and you see that they're only doing this for fun, yes, arrest the doctor. He's a bad guy. My doctor and I started out small. And like I said, we started with tramadol, baby aspirin, and we worked our way up. And we went to the hydrocodones, and we went to oxycodone, and oxymorphine, and hydromorphone, then OxyContin. At the same time I was on OxyContin from my doctor, my psychiatrist was throwing, I never paid for a pill from my psychiatrist in a year. Never paid for a pill. She handed me all these samples. Venlafaxine. I was taking a handful of it every morning. Klonopin, Seroquel, and something else. I can't even remember what it was. But all that shit screwed up my brain. And boom, I had that water on my brain, and I had that attack at the wheel going to the doctors. And sure enough, I spent 4 days of getting off the OxyContin. That was bad. That's an evil, evil, evil drug. And fentanyl is even more powerful than it. But the doctor and I stepped back to morphine sulfate. And I have perfect blood tests. The first year, my blood tests were still high. My cholesterol and everything was still high because that was the first year on cannabis and morphine. As my pain levels got under more control, I noticed that more things were getting healed. Just last year, January, boom, Hep C. Yes, I had Hep C. I increased my pot intake and I increased my hemp oil intake. And by the time I made it back to the doctor to get tested for the genotype, it was gone. I cured myself from Hep C with pot. When I got started on pot, I had chronic bronchitis, asthma, and COPD. And I was on albuterol puffer. After 6 months of smoking weed, I realized I hadn't picked up my puffer. I no longer needed my albuterol. Smoking pot cured my lungs. And it cured my liver of hepatitis. And it keeps my blood sugar under control. Because it works on your pancreas. And I bought some hemp oil for my mom. Legal hemp oil. And her doctor, she said, well, I won't take it until I talk to my doctor. Her doctor said, take it. Because she had an aneurysm in the ascending aorta, big aorta that goes up through the middle of your body. She had one of those big blowout aneurysms. Runs in my family. Weak blood vessel there. I probably won't ever get it. And my mom won't have any more attacks because I've got her started on the hemp oil now. And she's feeling better. She's pushing 80. And she feels better than she has in years. My wife went through 18 months of feeling like crap. And all the doctors could do was to keep telling her it was GERD or it was her hiatal hernia. Well, it wasn't. She had the gray circle of cataracts starting. And she had this all over crappy feeling. She was irregular and everything. Got the hemp oil in the mail. She tried it. After 3 days, she walked out of the kitchen and she said, the circles are gone. And I feel better. 3 days. Doctors went 18 months and could not even give her a proper diagnosis. 3 days of hemp oil, and she's just as fine as she was 3 years ago when it started. Hemp oil works. Cannabis oil works. It all works. I'm now over an hour. I'm sorry. But all you senators, representatives, wherever this ends up, stand up to Jeff Sessions. Dry skin. Sorry. Jeff Sessions has no right. What was I doing? Let me get out of this. I have the Constitution right here on my phone. So the Bill of Rights. Freedom of religion, speech, and the press. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and petition the government for a redress of grievances. Cannabis falls under that. The redress of grievances. The right to bear arms should not be infringed because we smoke pot. How many hunters are out there on opening day with some Irish coffee? They've got guns. How many accidental shootings are there every year on opening day? 9 times out of 10, alcohol was involved. Alcohol and guns don't mix. Amendment 4, search and seizure. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. Pot falls in there. I have the right to sit here secure in my person, legally scripted marijuana. What did I say? 1, 2, 4, 9, and 10. Construction of Constitution. Amendment 9. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And powers of the states and the people. Amendment 10. Powers not delegated to the U.S. by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Now, Amendment 9 fits in with 10. Do not deny or disparage rights retained by the people under the 10th Amendment. So there, freedom of speech, right to bear arms, search and seizure, construction of the Constitution, and powers of the states and people. All those amendments have something to do with pot. Like I said, even the Second Amendment. Go, what does guns have to do with pot? Well, when they start talking about taking our guns away because we smoke pot, that's when you really need to get down and dirty and tell the truth. And that's what I've just told you guys. I am safer with my gun and a bottle of pot than I am with my gun and a bottle of whiskey. Alcohol takes away your ability to make proper judgmentals. No judgment, poor judgment. Judgment's gone. Alcohol wipes it away. When you're smoking pot, all you want to do is relax. Okay? You don't want to take your gun out and go shooting. I like to go shooting, but I don't smoke dope while I do it. I don't smoke weed. I go out and I shoot. I still have my pills. So I'm on opiates, but I can have a gun. But then they say if I'm on pot, I can't have a gun. Yeah, don't give me that crap. The rights of the people. The 10th Amendment of the Constitution. That is the linchpin here. That's where everything should evolve, revolve, and come about. Is that if the Department of Justice overextends its bounds and tries to do one single negative thing to anybody in their state for legal use of marijuana, they're breaching the 10th Amendment to the Bill of Rights, and they're in violation of the Constitution, and he should lose his frickin' job. Okay? This drug war is stupid. Sure. Disreputable doctors, cartels, fine. Go after them. But for Jeff Sessions to sit there and say good people don't smoke marijuana, and he's going to do everything in his power to interdict state medical marijuana programs. Excuse me, Mr. Sessions. What about the drug lords in Mexico? What about Chinese heroin coming over? What about all that? Why does the DEA and the DOJ want to come after legal state? Oh, I know why. Because I'm here on video lauding pot and telling you all how good it is. But if he comes here and tries to F with me over it, I'm sorry, but we'd be going to court, and it's a constitutional law. It's a constitutional matter that senators and representatives, I'm hoping you guys just warn the Department of Justice that if you try to do any interdiction on any state's marijuana laws, you will go before the Supreme Court. And the 10th Amendment shall stand, because that's just what it is for. And the states have already been legalizing. So, whether we invoke the 10th Amendment on our states or not, the 10th Amendment protects us. That's the purpose of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Okay? Our civil liberties. Okay? If we are giving the liberty, if the state was recreational, that's a liberty that we are given by our state. That everybody of age can go to the dispensary and buy weed. Right now, what it is with me, it's only medical here. If it goes to recreational, fine, I don't mind. But don't limit medical marijuana. Recreational, they were talking about you can buy an ounce a month. Medical, I'm allowed 5 ounces a month. It's because it's a medicine. I have to have enough. And it takes that much sometimes. With all my candies, my tinctures, my vapes, my buds, edibles, all that. And I'm spending almost $500 to $600 a month on pot. I only spend $80 a month on my scripts of morphine and Seroquel and everything. So, pot is expensive. And I think the prices should start dropping as more states legalize. Because one plant, okay, dispensaries, they have to buy seeds, feminized seeds. One feminized seed for one plant can sometimes cost you $100. But the one plant that comes out of that seed can make you 1,000. Think about it. So, you want these plants. These plants have to be, it needs to be in our systems. We need this. The clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. That's what I'm searching for in my head here. There is proven that we have a deficiency of cannabinoids in our bodies when we are sick. And our bodies try to produce their own cannabinoids. And I've said this before. Mom, when you get pregnant, upon embryonic implantation, immediately, mom's body sends a signal to the fetus to start its ECS, its endocannabinoid system. Excuse me. Yeah. Yes. Mom tells the baby to start its cannabinoid system. When mom breastfeeds, her breast milk contains cannabinoids to keep the baby hungry and calm. And you're going, Mom must be smoking up. No. That's the whole point of the matter, is cannabinoids are manufactured in our bodies in response to the disease process. The only thing is that many diseases, you don't have enough. your body can't produce enough, so you get sick. The only thing that's been getting me through this 2 months of cold and flu feeling and just beaten up and cramped up and ready to die is pot, cannabis, and hemp oil. And that's it. I don't know what else to say. But all you representatives, senators, congresspeople, the 10th Amendment of the people for the states, any state that wants to legalize marijuana, the 10th Amendment protects you. And you senators and reps, you should be invoking the 10th when the Justice Department says all this crap. Oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. They should not be interdicting medical marijuana. Medical is the key word here. Okay? That's the main thing with pot, is it's a medicine. Yes, many people are stoners and want to get high, so they want weed legal. But many, many people are ill. And I know many, many people on Facebook that have gone to marijuana because I told them it was good. And they agree. And they were anti-pot before. But now they're all for it. I've given in my video series here, this is number 128. Got almost 300 hours of videos here. But there was this one girl, Krista May, Lou Gehrig's disease or something. She was wheelchair bound, couldn't move around, just, drive her chair. Dead set against drugs. She says, no. She says, if you were to push pot on me 3 years ago, I would have told you it was crazy. She says, but I've given up the fight with pharmaceuticals and I need relief. Her parents got her to the dispensary and her first dose of cannabinoids changed her. She says, if a year ago, if you had asked me would I smoke pot, I would have said, no, 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 no. She says, now it's yes, 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 yes. Because it's the only thing that has given her a quality of life. It is also the only thing that has given me a quality of life. When I was talking again about oxy and psych meds. When I was on those, I bruised easily. My liver enzymes were off the charts. My triglycerides and my cholesterol was all messed up. My blood sugars were messed up. Cannabis straightened everything out. All of my blood tests come out clean. They did a lower lung CT, first time ever. And there's a touch of emphysema there. Well, I told him, I says, give me another 6 months and I'll bet that emphysema is going to be gone. And it's by smoking pot. It's already cleaned my lungs of 3 diseases. And in my liver. And it's helped my wife beat cataracts and other stuff. And it has helped the hemp oil. My wife has a friend with ovarian cancer back east. Okay? I said, tell her to start using Tracy's products. The CBD Hemp Saved Me. HempSavedMe.com. Legal hemp oil. She told her friend. She's on chemo and radiation already, but she was losing weight. The tumor was still growing. She used the high potency, 900 milligram, full spectrum hemp oil. And she regained weight. She went through the chemotherapy and radiation easier, and the tumor shrunk to where it's almost gone. And she's still taking it today to make sure she stays cancer free. Just hemp oil. That's legal. In all 50 states through the mail. From HempSavedMe.com. My wife takes it. Because she can't use my pot. I won't let her. Can't afford to. She doesn't want to smoke anyway. But she likes the smell of it. So I can smoke pot in the house. Cigarettes, I go outside. So, I need a cigarette too. So, right now, can I say? What can I say? In closing, let me just close here. As I've introduced myself to folks that don't know me yet, Arizona Rick is my nickname. I suffer from chronic, intractable pain every day of my life, and I am a medical marijuana and an opiate patient who is in his right mind. Look at me. Listen to me. Am I not making sense? Okay? I'm not fluttering all over the place, which I do sometimes because my brain just works that way. I can go over many, many things at once. I'm a musician. So I can have the drums in my head, guitar, keyboards, bass. I can have it all in my head at the same time. It's like I sit here and I can read a book, play a game on my phone, watch TV, and talk to my wife all at the same time, and keep track of everything. And pot helps me do that. Morphine alone would not. Morphine alone would leave me a couch potato. That's what morphine would do to me. But here I am. I'm in 6-7 pain right now. And this is as bouncy and happy as I get. Because of marijuana. Because marijuana attenuates the symptoms of addiction. So the morphine does not affect me that way. I don't have a physical addiction to the morphine. I forget to take my morphine. My wife has to remind me. She comes home sometimes at night and I'm curled up on the couch and I'm like, ugh. And she goes, she looks at my pill box and says, you didn't take your 4 o'clock pills. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't. Tell me I'm hooked on morphine. I'm not. And pot. Sometimes Debbie has to remind me to smoke some. She says, we light up a bowl and just, because I'm sitting here like this going, friggin' headaches. I get some massive headaches. Encompasses the entire skull. Debbie goes, why aren't you smoking your pot? I'm like, oh, son. The pain was so bad I couldn't even think about what to do for it. So my wife was there to remind me. Thank God. But that's it, folks. I say the 10th Amendment to the Constitution stands and protects states' rights. And my rights in Arizona as a medical marijuana patient and as an opiate patient. I do not deserve to be lumped into this opioid epidemic bullshit. I'm not. I'm not addicted. I am a class 1 addictive personality. Like I said, I started drinking at a young age, smoking cigarettes, smoking weed. All of that at a young age. Peer pressure for some of it, and my dad for the alcohol. Thank you very much, Dad. Rest in peace, asshole. But anyway, that's it, folks. I was here. I just wanted to talk about the 10th Amendment and how the Constitution should be invoked for the DEA and the DOJ to leave us alone and go after the illicit drug trade. Look at the doctors that overprescribe. I mean, you can look at my record and you'll see that we started out small. Teeny tiny little. Okay? And now I'm up to here on my morphine. That took time and suffering. I suffered all that time getting to where I am now. And I had no quality of life. I used to sit here staring at a TV that was off all day long with nothing to do. And I couldn't think of anything to do because all I was just wrapped up in my pain. But now I'm back making braided jewelry and stuff, and I'm doing my videos. And like I said, 300 hours of videos, follow this video back to YouTube, rthuff415@gmail.com. That's my YouTube address. Watch all my videos, because you'll see as I go through, I'm learning. I'm learning as I do these videos. I learn every video because I'm researching. And I've got the wonderful internet at my fingertips. And I have found all this positive information on cannabis and cannabinoids. And if you want, I will start over on my book. I've got 300 pages of notes that I have lists of diseases, I have lists of the hydrocarbons and the chemical profiles of cannabis compared to opiates, and I can tell you anything you need to know, or if you just go through the videos. I did those videos and I learned as I went along. I'm still learning. I'm learning new things all the time. The cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. Some people have been coming in to hospitals and barfing their guts out. And they said, well, they're smoking a lot of cannabis. Well, find out that the neem oil used for fertilizer is part of that. It's not the whole reason. Some people are still sensitive. But even allergies to hemp are mild. It will not throw you into shock. Anaphylactic shock, like from a bee sting. If you're allergic to pot, you will not need an EpiPen. Don't worry about it. You're fine. If you get this barfing syndrome, just barf it out and start smoking less. Or go to a different supplier, a different dispensary. See if a different grower has weed that you can smoke. And don't try to smoke too much. Because I still think some of the hyperemesis syndrome is from people that are they're using these new dabs and super concentrates of like, I've got this oil here. This oil, I can't seem to, you can't hardly see it in there. It's just a little bit of oil. A half gram cost me $50. Read that. 80 to 95% THC content. Well, people are putting that oil on the end of their joints, and it gets into the paper and it burns down, and while you're smoking, you're getting extra. You're not just getting what's in the joint, you're getting this oil that's super concentrated. And if you get too high, it can set off the semicircular canals in your ears and make you dizzy and throw up. So I think the neem oil has a part of it. Azataracanth is the name of this stuff. And I think the high potency of today's weed is also contributing to the hyperemesis syndrome. And some people may be allergic, and the emesis syndrome is telling you it doesn't want pot. If you're one of those people, I feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. Try hemp oil. Maybe you're allergic to pot, but not hemp. Trust me, try it. And lawmakers, give me your support. Show support. Give me some comments. I'd love to hear back from Nancy Pelosi or Senator Gardner or Senator Shaheen or all the Oklahoma tags that I went through. I'd love some feedback from the actual lawmakers, because the 10th Amendment should stand, and the Second Amendment, the Fourth, the First, every amendment that has anything to do with medical marijuana and state laws needs to be upheld. And no stupid laws like taking guns away from pot smokers, because then you should take it away from the drinkers. Okay? And that means nobody will buy a gun, because everybody, I used to like to go out to the range and then go home and have a beer. Not the other way around. Because I want to shoot straight when I go to the range. So I don't want to drink. So I think all of our rights, right there in the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, covers medical marijuana and the opiate epidemic. Because, I don't know, I'm getting too long here and I'm trying to go off the top of my head. It's just ridiculous that we have to fight our government for something that is safe. Oops, I got something cooking on the stove. I gotta go, folks. Cannabis is safe. The Justice Department and Jeff Sessions himself are ignorant. They're weediots. They don't know what they're talking about when it comes to cannabis. I've just told you, and all my videos will tell you what's up with cannabis. And it's about living a quality of life. It's about people living better than they have been. It's chronic pain, any chronic disease, any painful disease. Cannabis and hemp help. It is the most important food, fuel, fiber plants that we could ever use. And this last 81 years of prohibition has been bull. And it all needs to be reversed. And the 10th Amendment protects the states' rights to their individual medical marijuana programs and recreational. And let no one try anything else, because that's the rules. The Constitution is our rules for living as a country, and the 10th Amendment states that we can make these laws. So all you state representatives out there, if you're not Oklahoma or one of the other senators, if you haven't got weed legal in your state yet, you can do it. The people want it. Almost 80% of Americans are for safe access to marijuana. While only 10% of the population uses it, 80% of the population says that it should be used. And Jeff Sessions just happens to be in that 20%. And he lies. And he's a racist. Because of the minority imbalance in marijuana arrests, I have to say he's racist also. Sorry, Jeff Sessions, but you're an idiot. You're a weediot, and you don't belong in that job. Because if you're not going to enforce the illegal drugs coming into this country, and if you want to spend all your time and money coming after me for trying to live peacefully and safely, pain-free, that's all I want. Don't come messing with me, Mr. Sessions. So, let's legalize cannabis. Cannabis and hemp. Because like I said, on hemp, 50,000 known industrial applications. 1936, Popular Mechanics said hemp was the first billion-dollar crop. What did we do the next year? Harry Anslinger outlawed it. Pot and hemp went together. And like I said, it's like making powdered sugar illegal because it looks like Coke. So, peace, love, truth, and happiness, my people. Let's get marijuana legal across the country. Let's get the Justice Department and the DEA going after those that they should go after. The illegal people. Okay? It's time to stop going after legally scripted patients or threatening. He hasn't gone after us yet, but he's threatening. And that threat is not right. It's wrong. It's bad for him to even say that. It's bad for him to say good people don't smoke marijuana. And it's ignorant for him to say that the sad day when cannabis will be available at every corner grocery store. It's already a sad day because alcohol is there and tobacco is there. And you cannot tell me that they are that pot is worse. Pot is not worse. Yes, you may have some tars from smoking it, but all in all, the benefits far outweigh the risks. And what are the risks? Nobody has ever died from cannabis use. Ever! And nobody ever will. So, peace out, folks. Free marijuana from the prison of ignorance. And good luck, Oklahoma. Thank you.